Hey, welcome back. I'm Bruno. Last episode, we talked about saving, paying yourself first, letting a little snowball roll before you touch the rest. If you set that up, genuinely good on you. You're already ahead of most people who will ever listen to a show like this. Today, we're solving a different problem, not how much money you have left over, where the rest of it actually goes. Because right now, if you're honest with yourself, yeah, you probably couldn't tell me exactly where last month's paycheck went. Not because you're careless, because nobody ever gave that money a job to do. We're fixing that today. Let's get into it. Oh, and if you're new here, follow the show wherever you're listening, hit subscribe, all that. I'll forget to ask again. Do it now. Okay, let me set a scene for you, and I promise this connects. Just stay with me. Imagine it's someone's first day at a new job. Nobody's told them what department they're in, no manager introduced themselves, no desk assigned, just a badge that says employee and a building full of doors they've never opened. What do you think that person does? They wander. They wander into a meeting because the room looked interesting. They sit in on a budget review for a department they've never even heard of. They find the snack pantry immediately. Always the snack pantry first. You know, it's like some ancient instinct kicks in. And by 2 p.m., they've quietly vanished to explore the building. And nobody sees them again until, I don't know, payday, I guess, in this metaphor. Now, here's the thing, that employee isn't lazy. That's not a bad hire. Nobody ever told them what their job was. Of course, they wandered off and did whatever looked interesting in the moment. That's not a character flaw. That's just what happens to literally anything or anyone with no assignment and no direction. And here's the twist, because I promise I'm not just describing a workplace sitcom for no reason. That confused new hire, that's your paycheck. Every single time money lands in your account, it shows up exactly like that person on day one. No job, no desk, no idea what it's supposed to be doing. So it wanders, it ends up in the impulse, 2 a.m. online order department. It sits in on the subscription you forgot you had. Meeting for the fourth month running. It finds the snack pantry immediately, every single time without fail. Sound familiar? That's basically everyone who's ever stared at their bank account near the end of the month, going, where did it go? Like a detective investigating a crime they personally committed and then somehow forgot about entirely. And look, it shows up differently for everybody, but it's always the same story underneath. Maybe it's a stack of takeout containers because cooking felt like too much effort on a random Tuesday. Maybe it's a garage full of tools for a project that got abandoned back in March. Maybe it's 4 different streaming subscriptions for shows literally nobody in the house is watching anymore, quietly paying rent to a shareholder you've never met and never will. Maybe it's sneakers, maybe it's golf clubs, maybe somehow it's both, and now you can't really afford either one. None of that makes you bad with money, by the way. I want to be clear about that up front because this episode could easily turn into a guilt trip. And that's not the point. It just means your money never got an onboarding. It was free to wander into whatever department looked shiniest that day. Money with no job title is basically an unsupervised new hire holding your credit card. Not malicious, just completely without direction. So here's what actually fixes it, and it's almost stupidly simple once you hear it. You give every dollar an actual job title the moment it arrives, not a vague vibe about being responsible this month. An actual assignment, a department, a desk, a reason for it to be there. Think of it like 4 departments. First one, essentials being rent, bills, groceries, non negotiable. Nobody throws a parade because essentials showed up to work today, but the whole building falls apart without them. Second, maintenance, car repairs, house upkeep, all the boring adulting stuff nobody enjoys, but everybody deeply regrets skipping. Third, discretionary. And yes, this is a real department, a whole one dedicated to fun, because I'm not running a monastery here. I'm just a guy with a podcast. This covers concert tickets, eating out, new gear, whatever your version of fun happens to be. But, and this is the whole trick, it has a fixed headcount, a set number, decided in advance, not just whatever happens to survive the chaos. And fourth, savings, the department, from last episode. Untouched, off limits, never gets pulled into some random emergency meeting, no matter how urgent it claims to be in the moment. And here's the part that actually changes everything once it clicks. Once every dollar has a real job title, you stop panicking about money. You're not sitting there asking, do I have enough? You're asking, Which department does this belong to? That's it. That's the entire trick behind budgeting, and somehow grown-ups have turned this into a subject requiring a spreadsheet with 12 tabs and a color-coded dashboard that looks like mission control for an actual rocket launch. Here's a line worth remembering because it's short and it rhymes, and things that rhyme stick around in your head way longer than they deserve to. Assign the role or lose control. Say that back to yourself the next time a paycheck lands and you feel the urge to just wing it for the month. All right. I know some of you are already building the excuse in your head right now because I've done it too. Everyone has. Let's just knock these out quickly because I promise none of them survive more than about 10 seconds of real scrutiny. I don't make enough money to budget. I hear this constantly, and it's actually backwards. The less money you have, the more a budget matters, not less. If you've got plenty of room, sloppy money habits are forgiving. You can absorb the mistakes without really noticing. If you're tight every month, sloppy money habits are the exact thing keeping you tight every month. Budgeting isn't a reward you unlock once you're doing well financially. It's the tool that gets you there in the first place. Budgeting feels restrictive, like I'm punishing myself. I get why it feels that way, genuinely, but that's actually a symptom of doing it wrong, not a symptom of budgeting itself. A good budget isn't a list of things you're not allowed to do. It's just deciding in advance what you're allowed to do, guilt-free, because you already planned for it. There's a massive difference between I can't buy this and I already decided this fits, so go enjoy it. Same purchase, completely different feeling. I'll just keep it all in my head. I don't need to write it down. Sure, some people genuinely can. Most people who say this are respectfully lying to themselves a little bit. The entire reason unassigned money wanders off is that nobody's tracking where it's supposed to go, and keeping it in your head is just a slightly more confident version of not tracking it at all. If it's not written down somewhere, it's not actually a plan, it's just a vibe with good intentions. This is going to take forever to set up. It takes about 20 minutes the first time and about 5 minutes a month after that to adjust. Compare that to the amount of time most people spend low key stressing about money throughout an average month, doing mental math in a parking lot, checking their balance 5 times before a purchase they're not sure about. 20 minutes once is a genuinely good trade for not doing that anymore. Okay, excuses handled. Moving on to how this actually works in practice. All right, let's get practical because a good metaphor doesn't pay your electricity bill, and I did promise you an actual plan today, not just a decent rhyme and some mild emotional discomfort. Step one, figure out your total incoming head count. Whatever hits your account, that's your full number before anyone gets assigned anywhere. Not a rough guess, not probably around, the actual real number sitting in front of you. Step two, staff up essentials first. Rent, bills, groceries. Boring. Nobody's celebrating because they paid an electricity bill on time. But understaff this department, and the lights will remind you it exists, usually at the single worst possible moment, like right when you're hosting someone or trying to cook dinner. Step three, set your discretionary head count deliberately as an actual number before you spend a cent of it, not whatever happens to survive after everything else. This is the entire difference between choosing to enjoy your money on purpose and your money choosing to disappear on you without so much as a heads up. Doesn't matter what your version of fun is. Video games, eating out, concerts, buying way too many plants that are statistically going to die under your care. Budget it, enjoy it fully. That's the actual point of the department existing in the first place. Step four, savings get staffed automatically, same as we set up last episode. Untouched off limits, no negotiating with it at 11 at night when you're tired and some app on your phone is being extremely persuasive about a limited time deal that statistically is not actually going anywhere. Another great thing that matters for the long haul, beyond just this first month, is that when every dollar has a job title, you genuinely stop feeling guilty every time you spend money because you already decided in advance what was cleared for that department. That specific guilt feeling, the little pang you get after almost every purchase. That's not really about the purchase itself most of the time. That's the sound of an unassigned new hire wandering into a meeting it wasn't invited to, and then somehow making you feel responsible for the awkward silence afterward. Give it a job title. It calms right down almost immediately. Same as people do, honestly. the moment they actually know what they're supposed to be doing instead of just standing around waiting for someone to hand them direction. One more thing worth saying clearly, because I don't want you thinking this is a one and done task. This isn't an onboarding you do once and then never revisit. Life changes constantly. Some months maintenance needs extra hands because the car decided to have an opinion about its brakes, so discretionary shrinks a little that month. That's not failure. That's not you doing budgeting wrong. That's departments actually communicating with each other. Like a functional company, instead of every dollar fending for itself in a lawless office with no HR department whatsoever, which frankly is how most people are currently running their finances without even realizing it. Let me give you one more picture because I think it'll make this land even harder. Picture two people, same income, same bills, roughly the same life. Call them whatever you want. Both get paid on the first of the month. Person one opens their banking app on the first, feels good about the number, and just goes about their life. Bills get paid whenever they remember, usually a few days before the due date, sometimes exactly on the due date. Occasionally, let's be honest, out a day or two late with a small fee attached, which they've just sort of accepted as a monthly tax on being a busy human being. Groceries happen whenever. Fun happens whenever it feels right in the moment. And by the time the next payday rolls around, there's usually a slightly uncomfortable few days at the end where things feel tight and they're not entirely sure why. Again, for the fourth month in a row. Person two opens their banking app on the exact same day with the exact same number sitting there. But before doing anything else, they move money into the four departments we just talked about. Takes about 5 minutes, essentials covered immediately. No more scrambling near due dates. A set amount goes to discretionary, genuinely the same amount person one probably ends up spending anyway, just decided on purpose instead of by accident. Savings peels off automatically. And then this is the key part. They just live their life exactly the same as person one for the rest of the month. Same restaurants, same hobbies, nothing miserable, nothing monk like. Here's the thing though. From the outside, watching these two people for one single month, you genuinely could not tell them apart. Same spending, roughly, same lifestyle, same fun. The difference doesn't show up in month one at all, which is honestly why so many people give up on this stuff early because it doesn't feel dramatically different right away. But fast forward 2 years, I have person two has a real emergency fund sitting there, zero late fees ever because essentials never had to compete with anything for attention, and weirdly, way less daily stress about money, even though they're spending basically the same amount as person one the entire time. Person one is still doing the exact same thing they were doing 2 years ago. Same mild scramble near the due dates, same slightly uncomfortable last few days before payday, same not quite knowing where it all went, on repeat, indefinitely, forever until something changes. That's the whole value of this system, and I want to be really clear about it. It's not about spending less. Person two didn't spend less than person one, not meaningfully anyway. It's about spending on purpose instead of by accident. That's genuinely the entire difference between those two people 2 years apart. Budgeting just isn't for me. Here's what I think actually happens most of the time. People start with an incredibly detailed system, 14 categories tracking every single coffee down to the cent, and it works great for about 9 days, and then life gets busy, and the system collapses under its own weight, and the whole thing gets abandoned completely. Not because budgeting failed, because the system was never built to survive an actual, normal, slightly chaotic human life. The department system we just walked through works specifically because it's forgiving. Four categories, not 14. You're not tracking every single coffee. You're just making sure the big buckets are roughly right. It bends when life happens instead of shattering the first time something unexpected comes up. That's the difference between a system you use for 2 years and a system you abandon by the second week of February. So here's the whole episode, compressed down to one idea. The moment money arrives, give every dollar a job title before it has the chance to wander off and become a mystery charge you don't even recognize on your statement 3 weeks later. You're not bad with money. I need you to actually hear that because most people treat budgeting like a punishment reserved for people who messed up somewhere along the way. And that's just not true. Your money never had an onboarding. That's not a character flaw. That's an HR problem. And we fixed the HR problem today. You're capable of doing this starting with your very next paycheck. Not someday, not once things settle down, because if we're being honest, things basically never fully settle down. That's not a real milestone anybody actually reaches. Today, right now, with whatever amount you're working with, big or small, you can go build 4 departments and finally give your money somewhere to actually be. So go staff up your departments. If this episode was useful, follow the show, leave a review if you're feeling generous, and send this to the one person in your life who definitely has a garage full of abandoned projects or an unreasonable number of unopened packages by the front door. Assign the role or lose control. I'm Bruno. Go give your money a job title. I'll see you next time.